Absolutely. Mr. Stefanko.
Here.
Mr. Sokol.
Here.
Mr. Pattison.
Here.
Mr. Corcoran. Oh, I can see you not. Okay, nodding. And Mr. Marquis. Here. And Mr. Krasansky.
Here.
Okay. Mr. Chair, we have the complete board.
Great, thank you, Kate. Why don't we start with a motion and a second for the draft minutes from the January 14 board meeting.
I'll make the motion, Mr. Chairman.
Thanks, Francis.
I can second that, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, not opposed. Item number 3, I have nothing to report out of the ordinary other than welcoming our new president, Joe Rubito. Happy to have you on board, Joe. Next item for you is your report, if you have anything to add.
Just a couple of things. Thank you again for the welcome and greetings to my colleagues, the board members. I think just for my report today, I'd like to share that it's been a busy and interesting time since our last meeting, my first. As I'm apt to do, I jumped in feet first, and I've been peeling the layers of this onion back and digging into really every area of the corporation. I've been looking at it through the lens of best practices and how this administration operates on behalf of the people in New York and their communities. So to that end, I've begun an internal strategic initiative that I'm fond, and I think I'm the only one fond of calling it, EFC 2021, which is our effort to recalibrate the ethos of the organization and reorganize us to be far better positioned to carry out our mission and achieve our goals in today's world and going forward. Tactically, my focus for this is our people, our partnerships, our processes, and most importantly, our performance. The one component of this that I could share today goes back to Secretary Rosado's important comments from the last board meeting. So I'm pleased to inform you all that I'll be establishing a position of Director of Diversity and Inclusion, and I've begun that search. There'll be more to come, and I look forward to both sharing and receiving your feedback on this work. Again, I'd like to thank you, the board members, for the trust placed in me. Thank you for the team members that have jumped in feet first with me. Just a quick special shout out to Maureen McGrath, who's serving in addition to her many responsibilities as a transitional chief of staff, if you will, making sure everything goes smoothly. So thank you, Maureen. Other than that, if you have any questions, I'll be glad to entertain them. But just thanks again to the team and to you, board members. I look forward to reporting out more as the work continues. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Joe. We did have a committee earlier. The Finance Committee met, chaired by Francis Corcoran. Francis, do you want to just put the highlights before we get into resolutions?
I do, Mr. Chairman, if I could find my mute button. So, yes, the Finance Committee had 2 items today for discussion. The first was the approval of our minutes from September 8th, and the second was a request for the issuance of New York State Environmental Facility Clean Water and Drinking Water Revolving Fund Revenue Bond Series 2021A in the amount of approximately $843,500,000, which we unanimously approved in our committee after a presentation and discussion led by Audra and Brian. And so we'll be recommending that for approval as item number 1 comes up on your agenda, Mr. Chairman. And other than that, we had a full quorum of the board, and we had unanimous approval of our resolution.
Great, thank you, Francis. If there's nothing additional for unfinished business, we will move right to resolutions. Kate, why don't we start with number 1?
Absolutely. Bond resolution authorizing the issuance of up to $843,550,000 New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation State Clean Water and Drinking Water Revolving Fund Revenue Bonds on behalf of the New York City Municipal Water Finance Authority.
Thank you, Kate. As Member Corcoran and the Chair of the Finance Committee just mentioned, this was pursuant to the Finance Committee. Can I get a motion, please?
So moved.
Thanks, Francis. Second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Vita.
With my dog.
Audra.
Thank you. Yes, this is for EFC's 2021A bond deal. It is with our colleagues at New York Water for financings that we have with them. There are 2 pieces, refinancing of a short term for both clean and drinking water. The clean water piece is for several projects at about $284 million, and the drinking water project is the Croton filtration plant for about $150 million. And then the second piece of it is a refunding of the Series 2011B debt that we have outstanding and the corresponding direct financings with that. There are substantial savings to be gained from funding that, a function not only of the size of the original deal, but also the differential in interest rates that are in today's market versus when we originally did that. We do expect to utilize our blend rate model in doing this, and the timetable is still relatively fluid, but we do expect to be going to market sometime in mid-June at this point. And I did just want to mention during our discussion in Finance Committee, there was a question about the terminology used for rates, and Brian did have a chance to go back and look at something. So Brian, I don't know if you just wanted to address that very quickly.
Sure. The question was about service revenue and revenue, and they basically use that term interchangeable. There is a slight difference between the total revenue and service revenue, and that is related to earnings on investment, but that's not a major point. The point that the 2 bullets were getting at is that indeed the revenue is supposed to drop this year by over $400 million related to COVID, but they're expected to recover that over the next few years out until 2025. It is supposed to gain over $1 billion as the effects of COVID succeed. So, yes, thank you.
Okay, thanks, Brian and Audra. Any discussion or questions?
Maybe I'll just say first, thanks for that quick update. Really helpful on their ability, well-run operation to repay the loan. And I'll just mention 2, really, again, so much good work that this refunds. That I'll just mention 2 things that we know of over the years. We saw the Owl's Head system and how impressive that was, and their more efficient use of gas and energy down there, and then also Croton, which we saw up close a couple of years ago, and again, just phenomenal new drinking water plant that this thing is helping to repay. So congratulations on this really big, very significant money savings. Great.
Yeah, and again, Mr. Chairman, it's the recommendation of Finance Committee that this be approved by the full board.
Great, thanks, Francis. Okay, if there's nothing further, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Unanimous. Resolution number 2.
A resolution of the New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation amending the prior authorizations for financial assistance to be provided by the corporation to certain recipients in connection with the Clean Water State Revolving Fund.
Can I have a motion, please?
I'll make a motion.
Thanks, Charlie.
I can second that motion.
Thank you, Roger. Audra again.
Let me just interrupt though.
Sure, Mark.
This is Mark, and this affects the city of Troy, is that right, Orange County?
That's correct.
I just wanted to flush, there's no conflict, but I'm a resident, of the city of Troy in Western County, and my wife is an employee in the city of Troy and works for the mayor's office. So I'm going to just, again, bonus question, recuse myself from this discussion and the vote.
Thanks, Mark.
Yep.
Okay, if there's nothing further in that order, go ahead.
Okay, great. So yes, this is a financing that we currently have with the city of Troy and Rensselaer County. The subject of this action is going for a 2-year maturity extension on the project. There are a lot of moving pieces and documentation needs on this project. You're probably very familiar with the project description as it's part of the Albany Pool Community's Combined Sewer Overflow Long-Term Control Plan. And you've seen several of those cities that are involved in this come before you in various pieces. And this is the city of Troy's piece. We're coming up on a maturity, but we need more time because this is such a large project and we need all the documentation and everything to get everything set before we move into a long-term financing with them. We have not yet fully dispersed this financing. We're working towards that, and we're working constantly with the city to get what we need to move into long-term, but we need more time. So that is the subject of this amendment.
Okay, discussion? Any questions for Audrey? Great. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Unanimous. Resolution number 3.
A resolution of the New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation making certain determinations and authorizing certain actions in connection with the Clean Water State Revolving Fund.
Have a motion, please.
I'll make a motion.
Thanks, Mark.
I'll second.
Thank you, Vita. Tim?
Good morning. Can you hear me? Wonderful. Good morning, and thank you. Before the board, we have 4 projects. All 4 are short-term financing, 3 qualified for hardship, for a total of $253,497,069 worth of authorization. So fairly robust ask this morning. 3 of the projects, so it's hardship, 3 treatment plants. One is focused on nutrients, 2 have UV disinfection to comply with DEC requirements, 3 are involved in collection system, 2 subject to a DEC consent order, and 2 began with EPGs that I'll get to as we go through them individually. Town of Jasper and Steuben County, seeking $118,532 worth of short-term interest-free hardship financing. They're doing work at their treatment plant and their collection system. The treatment plant work involves improvements to their aeration tank, equalization tank, valve and piping improvements, and the installation of UV disinfection. In the collection system, they're doing manhole improvements. And this began with a award in 2015 through an engineering planning grant. Second project, very large project, in County Nassau, the Bay Park Conveyance project is $225 million worth of financial assistance, for which we're pre-financing a $76,900,000 FEMA hazard mitigation grant, as well as $43 million worth of $3.2 million worth of DEC grant funds. The project, the Bay Park plant is in South Shore of Long Island. Discharge is currently the Reynolds Channel, which is a state channel just to the north of Long Beach. The Western Bay is that segment of the South Shore estuary where 90% of the wastewater, or excuse me, 90% of the nitrogen that's being discharged into that water body is coming from both the Bay Park treatment plant and the City of Long Beach treatment plant. So this project will be taking the Bay Park effluent and redirecting it approximately 15 miles east to the county's Cedar Creek wastewater treatment plant. The two main construction aspects are a tunnel, a pipe that's going to be micro-tunneled from the Bay Park treatment plant up to Sunrise Highway, which is New York Route 27. There's an abandoned water line that was installed over 100 years ago to bring water from New York City out to Nassau County that's never been used, that they're going to be repurposing to then convey that wastewater underneath Sunrise Highway. They're going to have to reline that pipe, but they've done a structural analysis on it already to confirm that it's has structural integrity. And then they're going to be, as you get out towards Wantaw, right near the Wantaw Parkway, they're going to bring another line, micro-tunnel again, south to the Cedar Creek treatment plant. And then from Cedar Creek currently has an outfall that discharges to the Atlantic Ocean. So in the near term, Bay Park, which is 80% of the nitrogen that goes to the Western Bays, will be sending that treated effluent out. The Long Beach treatment plant, which will be part of a future project that will be coming before the board, will be redirecting their wastewater to Bay Park for treatment, and that'll be the remaining 10%. And then all of that wastewater will be going to Cedar Creek, and there's capacity within the Cedar Creek ocean outfall to accept that additional flow. Francis, do you have a question? I can't hear you if you do.
Francis, you're muted.
Yeah, I was saying no, Tim. I was just stretching because when I was in the materials, the dollar scope of the project over $500 million, which is just amazing. So I'm listening to all the component pieces and just thinking about the project itself. So I was just stretching, thinking about it, not raising my hand for a.
Oh, go ahead, Tim. Sorry.
No, I was just saying, this project has stretched us quite a bit as well. So
yeah.
Thanks for the metaphor.
That's perfect. With that stretch, the thing is, that's a lot of coordination. You were talking about other projects coming in, in coordination with this. So it just, to me, sounded like a lot of coordination, and I was surprised that it was only a 3-year project.
Yeah, so this has been a unique project. It's a design-build contract. It's not going to be bid using traditional general municipal because DEC is also involved in this project, where DEC and the county bid this project so that a design-build was an option, and and that also gives them cost certainty, right? Because now you've got a fixed price, and much like the Tappan Zee Bridge, and now the Mario Cuomo Bridge.
It's funny that you talked about the fixed price on that, so thank you for answering it, because I was looking at this and I'm thinking, so many moving pieces, so much coordination. Are we going to see a project increase scope coming down the pipeline at some point? So thanks for that clarification.
And if I may, Vita, it's a high priority project for the state, the administration, and our partners, obviously, in local government. And it is being worked on not just with, obviously, our partners at DEC and local, but it has the highest priority at the executive chamber, and it will test the skill of all of us involved, but there's a high level of confidence that we're going to be able to pull this off. So, your read on it is right. It's a challenge, but I think the team is up to it.
Oh, I know they are. I have a high level of confidence as well.
Great. So, and as you can imagine, if you remove 90% of the nitrogen from the Western Bay, they expect a rather quick water quality response within 2 years. Because the Bay Park treatment plant was impacted pretty severely from Hurricane Sandy. It came in, it wiped out much of their subterranean pumps and motors and equipment. So they've been undergoing improvements they built a perimeter wall around the facility so they could withstand any storm surge, any future storm surge. And but because of that, they don't have the land to do the nitrogen removal necessary to meet water quality standards, which is why they considered an ocean outfall from the plant itself, but permitting that is not an easy task. And the Cedar Creek treatment, ocean outfall had conveyance capacity, which is why they went that path to an existing outfall. So that's a lot, but there's a lot to this project, as Vita, you appropriately identified. And they're starting anew. That when we next see this project, because this is the first of 3 anticipated financings, the next one not for another 2 years. The name of this facility is changing from the Bay Park Treatment Plant to the South Shore Water Reclamation Facility. So when you next see that, I'll make sure that I make the connection again between Bay Park and the facility's new name. And so, so that's Bay Park. And I'll keep going. But it's so big, I feel like I should stop and allow any other questions before I go to the next one.
What was the name change, Tim?
It's called the South Shore Water Reclamation Facility. And in the wastewater industry, Vita, they've been doing that recently, where they're changing the names from wastewater treatment plant to water reclamation facility to water resource recovery facility.
Yeah, makes sense, because we really don't want to be
yeah.
wasting water.
Or the nutrients that are in the water, if they can be recaptured, especially phosphorus.
It's a paradigm shift of a word that I think are really important to society.
Great. All right.
Well, Tim, thanks for the heads up on the timeline. I'll start rigging up my fishing poles for everybody. I got a couple 2 years to do it, and catch and release, of course, but I look forward to it.
Yeah. Great. Okay. The third project, Niagara Falls Public Water Authority. Public Water Authority owns a treatment plant not that far from Niagara Falls. Several years back, there was a discharge of backwash water that ended up down near the Maid of the Mist that you could see from public viewing. That created quite a bit of concern because that shouldn't have happened, and it resulted in a very robust review of how Niagara Falls operates their facility. This is the first of a couple of financings that we expect to fund for this project. They're making improvements at the wastewater treatment plant and at their gorge, at their 19 MGD, million gallon a day gorge pumping station. At the treatment plant, they're making improvements to the screening and grit chambers. They're replacing the granulated activated carbons, one of the few treatment plants in the state that sends their effluent through granulated activated carbon to remove organics. So they're replacing that material. They're making improvements to the sedimentation basins, electrical and heating, ventilation, and air conditioning system, as well as sludge. And then at the gorge pump station, they're making improvements to the pumps and controls, ventilation system, and security. This project is subject of a DEC consent order. They qualify for hardship with pre-financing a $13.5 million state and municipal facility grant, and our financing is going to be $27 million. The last project in the town of Ripley in Chautauqua County, that's the last town in New York along Lake Erie before you get into Pennsylvania. $1,378,537 short-term interest-free hardship financing. Project began with an engineering planning grant that was awarded back in 2014. They're making improvements at the treatment plant for the headworks, oxidation ditch improvements, the secondary clarifier, as well as their equalization basin. They're installing UV disinfection. And then several years back, in 2019, they had a collapsed sewer that they had to address, and they needed money. They came to us under the emergency loan program that was created under the 2017 Clean Water Infrastructure Act. So we're refinancing the costs associated with that collapsed sewer repair, and is part of this financing. So those are the 4 projects.
Thanks, Tim. Any discussion? Go ahead, Francis. You still on mute?
There we go. So anyway, I just wanted to just mention to our new president that what a difference the engineering planning grants made for communities over the last number of years in allowing some of these hardship communities to be able to actually start projects. And Ripley is a good example of one of them. So yeah, I know you probably saw that in some of your due diligence and all that, but those kinds of things, those kinds of grants and tools have really helped a lot of communities across the state be able to start projects that they would normally never even consider because of the financial difficulties and just getting to the starting line. And so you'll see the engineering planning grants pop up along the way in many of these places, and we were glad that they were approved and done. And so just pointing those out in case you see them along the way.
No, Francis, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, I like it for a couple of reasons. One, it performs well, right? It is leading to the projects, the necessary projects, as opposed to sitting on shelves. But more than that, I think it really is the catalyst for momentum on projects that aren't going to get done. So I think it's invaluable, and we're going to look at ways to leverage it and expand.
Right.
And to that point, there's currently an offering for planning grant right now with the application due date is tomorrow. So perfect time to talk about that program.
Several of these projects also benefited from local government consolidation funding and some ARC or MRF funding that we provided just to help them consolidate, do the organizational work. So
It's always good to see that type of leverage.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we love co-funding.
Okay. Anything else on that matter and the Bay Park project? Great. Okay, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Resolution number 4.
A resolution of the New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation making certain determinations and authorizing certain actions in connection with the Disaster Relief Appropriations Act 2013 and the Clean Water State Revolving Fund.
Okay, can I have a motion, please? Thank you, Charlie.
I'll second.
Thank you, Francis. Audra.
Okay, so we are going to talk about Bay Park for just a few more minutes. Tim did a great job kind of leading into this resolution for me, and as he mentioned, this project has several pieces of financing through EFC, as well as the co-funding, and this is a piece of that financing. The program you are all familiar with, the Storm Mitigation Loan Program, and there is a piece of funding that has previously been obligated to this project, so I do want to make that clear. But it's coming back before you again today because, as discussed, there's been a lot of coordination of the different pieces of funding and getting them all to come together for this project. And so although this funding was previously obligated, we're coming back with this resolution now that all of these pieces are falling into place together, just to refresh and make sure that this is, fully representative of what this piece of financing is going to do for the project. And we do expect to close this soon and start dispersing very soon as that work starts to move along. So that's that. It's the project that we discussed in the last ID, just another piece of that financing.
Great, thank you, Audra. Discussion. Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Unanimous? Resolution number 5.
A resolution of the New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation authorizing financial assistance payments to certain municipalities to fund eligible clean water projects from funds appropriated for the New York State Water Infrastructure Improvement Act.
Okay, can I have a motion, please?
I can make that motion.
Thank you, Roger.
I think so.
Excellent, thank you, Vita. Dave? Oh, no, Tim, I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong one. Tim?
No problem. Thank you. So this morning, there are 3 projects that are seeking authorization from the board for New York State Water Infrastructure Improvement Act grants that were awarded in previous years. All 3 projects were the subject of ID number 3. One of them being Bay Park. So it's the Bay Park trifecta. I'll take you through them individually. Town Jasper was awarded a $158,043 WIA grant in 2018. Describe that project as they're doing improvements to their treatment plant. The Bay Park project was awarded $25 million in 2019. Remember the WIA grant program on the clean water side is a 25% grant. So this project exceeds $100 million, so that's why I got a $25 million award. That's part of this resolution, $25 million, to help support that very large infrastructure project. And then Town of Ripley, $459,513 WIA grant from 2019. Any questions?
Great. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Unanimous. Resolution number 6.
A resolution of the New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation making certain determinations and authorizing certain actions in connection with the Drinking Water State Revolving Fund.
Can I have a motion, please?
I can make that motion.
Thanks, Roger.
Second?
Thank you, Francis. I think that was you.
Yes.
David?
Hey, hello, everyone. We have 3 projects today seeking EWSRS assistance. First one is the Village of Sherman in Chautauqua County, and they're seeking a short-term interest-free financing of $1,282,400 and a DWSRS grant of $1,981,263. This project will include upgrades to their existing wells, including providing protection from flooding, replacing the pumps, and providing needed disinfection improvements, also decommissioning some existing monitoring wells that are no longer used. It'll replace some severely aged and undersized mains in the distribution system and replace water meters that are also severely aged. And it will install level controls and monitoring and other controls in the system to monitor the storage tank levels, which will enable the system to operate in an automated way. Currently, the system has lots of aged, failing infrastructure, and they've been cited for violations by the county health department for inadequate disinfection, inadequate in aged mains and inoperable valves throughout the distribution system, lack of automation of the system, and lack of controls, and also the flooding issues related to the existing wells. The second project is for the city of Oswego. It's a $3.3 million short-term market rate financing. And this is an upgrade to the existing McCaffrey water treatment plant, which is approximately 50 years old, and most of the equipment there is original. So this project will include a new backup generator, a new finished water pump to provide redundancy, upgrades to the disinfection system to convert from gas chlorine to sodium hypochlorite, and upgrades to the filters, controls, HVAC system and structural upgrades to the plant. The big issues with the plant now, there's no emergency backup power currently. So in the event of a power outage, the plant would not be able to serve water to certain sections of the city. There's also only one finished water pump, so in the event that pump were to fail, they would not be able to provide finished water to any portions of the city. And there's safety concerns with the current disinfection system, which will be addressed. The third project for the village of Brockton, this is a long-term interest-free financing of $4,385,484. This project was an interconnection to the city of Dunkirk, and the village of Brockton abandoned their very old water treatment plant, which needed many upgrades to come into compliance with drinking water standards. So as an alternative to doing a major water treatment plant upgrade, they decided to interconnect with a nearby system instead. And the interconnection includes not only the interconnection piping, but also replacement of existing aged water mains, a new pump station, and a new storage tank. Any questions on those?
Thanks, Dave.
Dave, I just have a quick question on Brockton.
Yep.
So the engineering report that this out is dated to 2010, but our cost estimates are current.
Well, this is a long-term closing, so that report was really, endorsed back when it first went to short-term closing. So construction has been completed now, costs are all finalized.
My mistake. Got it.
No problem.
Thank you.
I want to just thank you, Dave and Roger, and everybody for the information on the Oswego, explaining, it's really important they have backup and that they don't now, and the one pump. So it's really correcting a big potential problem. So that's a great project. And the first one too, real deficiencies that are being corrected. So thanks for the additional information, really helpful.
No problem.
Okay. Anything further? All right, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Resolution number 7.
A resolution of the New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation authorizing financial assistance payments to certain municipalities to fund eligible drinking water projects from funds appropriated for the New York State Water Infrastructure Improvement Act.
I'll make the motion, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Francis.
I'll second.
Thank you, Charlie. Dave again.
Okay, we have 4 projects seeking WIA grants. The first one is the city of Auburn, Cayuga County, seeking a 2019 WIA grant of $541,200. This project is for replacement of the existing zebra mussel control system, which controls zebra mussels at the intake, the raw water intake. So this will include complete replacement of that system, including the sodium hypochlorite feed pumps, lines, and other appurtenances. The second project is for the city of Canandaigua in Ontario County. This is a 2019 WIA grant in the amount of $422,901. This project will construct a second fully redundant finished water transmission main from the water treatment plant to the distribution system, approximately 3,000 linear feet of a 20-inch diameter main. Currently, there's only one finished water main, and that single main has had breaks, and whenever breaks occur or needs to be shut down for other reasons, there's an interruption in provision of finished water to the distribution system, which serves approximately 40,000 people within the city and town of Canandaigua and 6 other municipal water systems in the area. Next project is for the Carl Place Water District in Nassau County. This is for a 2019 EC WIA grant of $6,762,000. This is for treatment upgrades for their existing wells 1A and 2R, and it will add a new advanced oxidation process treatment system to remove 1,4-dioxane and the GAC system, which is part of the AOP process, and also will remove EFOA. 1,4-dioxane has been detected in the water right at the recently adopted MCL of 1.0 parts per billion. And so this project will enable those wells to continue to produce an adequate supply of water for the customers in the district. Final project is the city of Oswego, which we just talked about in the last ID number for the treatment plant upgrades, and they are seeking a 2019 WIA grant of $3 million. Any questions on those?
Thanks, Ed. All right, if there's nothing further, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Resolution number 8.
A resolution of the New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation authorizing the president of the corporation or its designee to enter into a contract for value engineering consultant services to the corporation and the utilization of certain funds for the purchase of such services.
Ms. Kate, have a motion, please.
I'll make a motion.
Thanks, Joe. Thank you, Francis. Tim?
Thank you. Can you hear me? Great. All right, before the board is a contract for value engineering services to assist ESC on its new, we've made changes to the SRF program this past year for both the clean and drinking water program to offer a path to hardship for communities that are serving at least half of their project scope or cost through environmental justice areas. So communities that currently meet our hardship and serve EJ areas qualify, but there are communities that are above those income thresholds that have EJ areas and they have not been able to access hardship. So we are creating a program, creating changes in both the clean and drinking water program. We made changes to our engineering report outline for both clean and drinking water to offer an incentive to these communities that if they provide positive, meaningful scope items that serve, benefit, or protect EJ areas, at least 50% of the project scope or cost, that they can secure a zero-interest hardship loan that they otherwise would not be able to qualify for. As part of that program, we want to ensure that the scope is still meaningful and that it hasn't been tailored a certain way just to get to hardship. So we've secured these services so that we can ensure that we're getting a meaningful project that provides a positive benefit both from a water quality standpoint and from a benefit to the EJ community. DEC has mapped the entire state, and those maps are on their website. Of the 62 counties, I believe there's 57 that have mapped EJ areas. So we're able to use that information to help us identify and confirm that EJ areas are part of the project scope, and now we'll have, through this contract, the ability to confirm that the project as designed is the best option for that project from a water quality standpoint, and then from in terms of helping that serve, benefit, or protect the EJ community.
I just want to add too that the key reason we want to do this too is we want a third party, a value engineer consultant, to look at
what's planned and what the project is, to make sure that they're doing it in the most cost-effective manner as well, so that it's cost-efficient for the residents in that area, and they're not paying more than they have to for, for the project.
Thank you. Go ahead, Vita.
So in the future, will we be seeing some kind of indication or project summaries that, identify an EJ project element or something like that that we're tracking with on our project summaries?
Absolutely, Vita, we would. If a community now is going to qualify for hardship through that, through this program, we would absolutely highlight that. But, just to go back to what Maureen said, we're looking for cost-effective solutions for infrastructure and water quality problems. We're also, as part of our engineering report, whether you qualify, whether you're pursuing hardship or not, every engineering report going forward now, clean water, drinking water, that's prepared and submitted to it, I show where their project is relative to an EJ area as part of the maps, and show whether their project is going to have a positive or negative impact on the EJ community.
Yeah,
So we're trying to take a more holistic approach to this issue, so that it's transparent and it's in the sunlight.
That's great, thanks, Jim.
And Vita, rest assured, we will measure the successes and recalibrate as necessary on the investment, for sure.
Yeah, and Tim, that's great. We'll see some that just get regular funding and communities that also qualify for the hardship as well. So there'll be now two potential, right? Because depending on the project, that community may qualify for that project as a hardship, for hardship zero interest. So
Correct.
there may be,
Could be a,
correct. So this is kind of a way to help those communities, as you said, that qualify on their own, but may not do these other projects because they can. But now they can get the hardship on them because they fall under the auspice of this program. So we'll see them in both. We'll see them sometimes with hardship and sometimes without hardship. So just depends on the project. Now.
and right, the idea here is to provide a carrot to those communities that would otherwise not qualify for hardship, that if they choose to provide meaningful infrastructure projects to likely an underserved area of their community, that they can now access zero and the power of money to help incentivize these improvements.
Right, which is great because the whole mission of what we do is to try to get communities to engage us to help them finance these projects. And so like with the engineering planning grants, these kinds of things help us, at the end of the day, we're trying to get more business in the door, more new clients, more new projects. And so these are just, more things in the toolkit that help get these communities across the transoms. Whether they qualify on their own or not, now we can get other projects and other work in the door and other financing. So, bravo on this one as well.
I've got a question for probably Albert, but just interested in the source of the funding. Does it come in, are you going to sort of gauge it proportionally, this administrative fee, off of either of the two big accounts? Is that where it comes from, or you tell me?
Yes, it'll be admin fees off of the clean water account. So the source has to be either non-program income or program income used earned after the grant period.
Thank you. Perfect.
Great. All those, if there's no further discussion, we'll go right to...
Mr. Chair,
Sure.
I'm so sorry. I just wanted to make note that Director Patterson had to leave. He was not one of the moving directors, and you continue to have a quorum just before you took the vote. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Kate. Slipped my mind to mention that. Okay, that said, all those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Okay, unanimous. The final resolution is resolution number 9.
A resolution of the New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation approving the appointment of Senior Vice President and General Counsel of the corporation.
Thank you, Kate. Could I have a
I would
motion,
like to
please?
make that motion.
Thanks, Ida.
I'll second.
Thank you, Charlie. Joe?
Just formalizing what should be, I think, an obvious position for our general counsel as it relates to the corporation. As we go through our reorganization, we'll be talking about advancing how we bolster our executive capacity. I just wanted to ensure that General Counsel Maureen were in fact officers in the an officer in the corporation as we go forward.
Here, here. Thank you, Joe. Any discussion on that? All right, that's it. All those in favor? Aye. Unanimous. Well done, Maureen. Okay, that concludes our resolutions. I do not see any new business unless anyone has anything to add. We'll move for a motion for adjournment. Our next board meeting is Thursday, March 11th at 11:30. I have a motion, please.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we adjourn until our next board meeting.
Thanks, Francis.
I can second that motion.
Thank you, Roger. All right, we are adjourned. Thank you.